Good afternoon, my friends, or good morning, wherever you are. I'm in the East Coast, so it's afternoon already over here. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a pep talk. Just a reminder today that there is no one to change but self. I know we hear this a lot in the law of attraction community, law of assumption community, manifesting community. We hear that so much, and sometimes when you hear something over and over and over again, it doesn't really resonate with you because you're like, I heard that yesterday. I saw that in somebody's video tag yesterday. But the truth of the matter is, you can't change your circumstances. You can't change what is showing up in your life without changing what's going on in here and what's going on in here first. Okay? You must change self to what would have your desire. So let me give you an example. I grew up very, very anxious, very, very nervous, very, very concerned about what other people thought about me. I was one of 4 daughters. And so in my life, I identified with I'm always part of a competition, because growing up with 4 sisters, on 3 sisters, 3 beautiful sisters, you always overheard things. You sometimes were in the presence of people comparing one and the other. We were all 2 years apart, and there was always that comparison. So I feel like for my whole life, I've always felt like I'm comparing myself to others. And this is something that showed up in my life, because in that comparison, you always feel like you're not good enough. You're not the best. And that is absolutely not something that these people who were saying and doing these things would do on purpose. It's not. And sometimes my mom said negative things to us, and it's absolutely not something that she said to hurt me or to hurt my sisters, but something more motivational maybe. So when we grow up, especially when we grow up in situations that are not favorable to us, we take those patterns of belief into our adulthood. And the first thing that we're going to have to do if we want to manifest something opposite of what we are is we've got to become the person who not only believes that they are worthy of having whatever that desire is, whether it's a specific person or a really good job or going to Ivy League college or anything, having the career of your dreams and the man of your dreams. That is going to take you becoming the woman of your dreams or the man of your dreams. You are going to have to be the person that would attract something like that. Now, when you get to be a little bit older, those thoughts are normal. And if anybody follows Joe Dispenza at all, he talks about how we get into this pattern and our life keeps progressively giving us the same responses, the same, showing us the same thing over and over and over again. And this is not an accident, guys. It's not. We are creators. We create what's out there. And the only way to create something different is to be something different. The more you shift, the more that shifts. Okay? So for me, I decided several months ago that it was time for me to start doing for myself. And when I tell you, things around me just came crumbling down in the beginning. And inside, even though I was persistent, I am doing for myself today. I am going to stand up for myself today. in this area of my life, in that area of my life, because it's more than one thing. I knew my patterns of behavior was affecting my entire life. My family relationships, my love relationships, my career. It was affecting how I felt everywhere. And I just felt like a victim, like everywhere in my life. And I decided that's not who I am anymore. I am not a victim. I am not codependent. I do not need anybody else's validation. I'm good enough for myself. And the only way that I knew how to get to somewhere different is to start walking, start going, start moving forward. And when I say this, I don't just mean figuratively in my specific situation. I actually physically got up and started moving. Okay, moving. I started walking. Okay, and last year was so traumatic for me. I lost my mother after she had a lung transplant, and she was my rock, man. She was everything. My best friend my entire life. And I did so much to take care of her, and I pushed her so much, and that, very traumatic. And I handle my traumas in a different way. I didn't know how to deal with that and what was going on in my home relationships and my daughter going to college and my son, the things that he's going through. And then everybody around me. I have a brand new nephew, which was a blessing, but I couldn't be near him because he's all the way across the United States. So I just got up one day and I started walking. I started walking 3 miles every day, and the decision that I made was that was for me. That one thing was for me. I had no plans but to just move more. And once I got going, it's like I built up this momentum and I built up this momentum and I built up this momentum. And I couldn't stop. And not only did I build up this momentum in my physical, I also built up this momentum in my mental, because it was one thing to another, to another, to another, where things in my life had to be different. And I started walking forward in my life. I lost 40 pounds. As of today, it would be like 44. I lost 40 pounds. I got away from some toxicity. I started to be able to see things clearly for, what I wanted to achieve at work. I started to see things clearly for how I wanted to show up for my own family. And I wanted to do better. And then I also started seeing that I am capable of being the version of me that has exactly what I want. And the version of me who is the person who deserves and who is worthy of exactly what I want. And that has taken months. It doesn't necessarily happen overnight, because you have to remember, it's been years since you've been in this pattern of behavior. And I did manifest a lot of things through anxiety during this time period. Horrible, crippling anxiety of what is going to happen now, what is going to happen now, what is going to happen now. So you can manifest through anxiety, but I promise you it's not going to be what you want. You're going to manifest things and you're going to be nervous about those things because you haven't dealt with what's going on in here. And I've done that a couple of times, but still nervous about what's going on inside. So it came to a point where I had to be isolated. I had to, because I'm scripting, because I'm affirming, because I'm believing that what I want is already mine, I have to then give into the bridge of events. What's going to get me to that place of who I need to be to receive my desires? I cannot be anxious. I cannot be codependent. And I cannot be always worrying about the other shoe to drop. I have to be sure about my future. I have to be sure about my desired end, and that it's not going to be wishy-washy. It's not going to be back and forth. And so I have now manifested this place of healing that I'm in right now. And when I say healing, it's physical healing, it's spiritual healing, it's mental and emotional healing. And it's been so hard on the ego because you feel like everything is being ripped from you, and it gets scary, but that's just your ego. There's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. Because when you go through a period of isolation where it feels like everything is gone, and I do mean like everything, most people are just gone, and only the people who are meant to get you through this process are going to be around and meant to help you focus on your goals are going to be there. When you get there, then the only person that you have to focus on is yourself. And I've done so much for myself. I'm literally still healing from surgery. I have a 6-week process of healing for surgery, and I've done more sitting in this Airbnb, talking to the friend of mine who was my caregiver during this time, more for myself in this time period than I've probably done in the last 15 or 20 years for myself. Maybe ever. Seriously, maybe ever. I may have never done this much for myself. But it's brought up so many memories and so many conversations with me and my friend. For whatever reason she was put in my life during this time, I had the inspiration or the intuition to ask her to assist me during this time, and she accepted. And we both have fed off of each other. She has now started the business that she has been putting off for ages. And this is just us bouncing intuition off of each other. And then I've gotten into conversations. For example, yesterday, I was doing some therapy with her, and we got into a conversation about my past and how it was when I was younger and I worked a certain place, and how men would approach me and such. And it made me think, wow, you were, at this point in your life feeling like you were very desirable, very loved, that you were wanted, and, there was men all around you coming at you. And I felt, since I had a very abusive marriage, I've felt the opposite of that. So it's awakened that memory within me that I am that person who can be loved, who can be desired, who can be wanted, and that I should expect that. But how would I have gotten to that point if I never got into that conversation with this girl? So once you're on your track of fixing your self-concept, fixing your inner self, your inner knowing, you're going to see things show up in your life that are going to reflect back to you who you truly are. Because when you sit there and you dwell on the past, when you wake up every morning with that same anxiety of this person doesn't like me, that person doesn't like me, I don't know how I'm going to do at work today. When you do that, you're just repeating that old pattern over and over again, and you're just instilling it further and further into your mind. Think of it as a software program, and you need an update. Okay? You need an upgrade. You need an upgrade to your thought patterns, and you need to change over from whatever version of Windows you have to an iOS pattern, okay? Or however you want to put it, an iOS software. But you have got to focus on yourself. And you can either do it now and watch things happen in your life, or you can wait until you get to the point where you have no choice. You wrote down everything you wanted, but you weren't changing yourself. You were still feeling unworthy of all those things. And then you're going to be isolated, because what's going to happen is you're creating that future for yourself. You're already creating the new you when you write down your desires. And in order to get you to the new you, you're going to have to go through that isolation unless you start on you now. So my recommendation for this is going to be, pick something every single day that you are going to do that's just for you. Something that you didn't give yourself time to do before, you didn't give yourself money to do before, something that's going to help you feel better about yourself today. When you close your eyes and you imagine the you that has the desire that you want, how do you imagine him or her? How do you imagine that you are? What do you look like? How do you talk? What kind of haircut do you have? What kind of car do you drive? What kind of house do you live in? That's going to get you into that feeling state. That feeling state of, okay, this is who I am, this new person. And you're going to subconsciously start taking steps towards whatever that is, right? But in order for you to take that first step, pick something that the future you, the desired you, would want to have or do better. For me, it was just, I'm going to take these 3 miles every day and walk, and it's going to take me probably about an hour. That's 1 hour out of every day, and everybody else can have me the rest of the day. Yep. I got my thoughts together. That's something that I did, in the past. I used to walk, hike, and I just stopped for like 2 years. So when I gave that back to myself, I started seeing things shifting in my life. And it was very, very uncomfortable. But now I feel at peace. I feel at peace because now I know I'm not the same me that I was before. I don't feel undesirable. I don't feel unloved. I don't feel uncared for or unwanted, or like nobody supports me. I feel the complete opposite of all of those things. I feel supported. I feel loved. And I don't even have to see it every day. I just know it. I just already know it. So that's number one. Pick something every single day that you can do for yourself. What you're going to do next is, I say this like I feel like in every video that I put up, and that's not very many because I'm still really new here, but second, go on Dylan James's channel and find a video in his sleep tapes to go to bed with every night. And I would recommend definitely using headphones. What's going to happen is when you listen to these sleep tapes, for example, right now I'm doing the feminine energy one that just came out like yesterday. And I was like, this is for me. I mean, there's a lot of them that I was like, okay, this is for me. But that one, it encompasses so many different things and what I want to see reflected back to me. So that's the one that I'm going to do for the next 21 days. But 21 days, go ahead, pick you a sleep track. In the first comment of those videos, you can see that he has listed all the affirmations in those videos. And that way you can see what resonates with you. And there's all kinds of sleep tracks that he has in there. So definitely go in, take a look at those. And once you've picked the right one, hold on to it for 21 days. Sometimes when you're older, it's supposedly takes a little bit longer for those things to seep in, as long as it takes, but you can see a shift sometimes right away. One of the first sleep tracks that I listened to, it created a nightmare within me. And I usually do have some weird dreams that come up. Usually that's your ego, that's your old ego, that's the past coming up. And sometimes it's like completely opposite of what the track is saying. But your ego is there to protect you, saying, oh, no, that's not us. Okay. We're not that person. We're this person. Remember? No, little ego, you shut up. You be quiet. You're not welcome here. We are going to be this new person. But it's up to you to put your ego to rest, to put your ego to bed. Your ego's not bad. It just needs to change, just like you do, right? You're not bad. You're a great person. But your ego is affecting who you are today. So we've got to get that ego to change too. So you tell your little ego to be quiet. And what you're going to do right now is you're going to listen to Dylan James's sleep tapes, and you're going to change your subconscious mind. You do this while you're asleep because your subconscious mind is open while you're sleeping. Once you've done that, then what I want you to do is I want you to grab a notebook, and you can do this in the morning when you wake up. You can do this right before bed, and that way, whatever this is, it would seep into your subconscious mind. Grab a book, a notebook, and start scripting. You can do this in many different ways. So you can script where you're just writing a letter. The first time I ever scripted, that's the way that I did it. I wrote a letter, and it was a thank you letter, because remember, we are thinking from the end, so we don't want to put things in the future. We want to put them in current present tense. So you're going to write a letter to the universe, or to someone who supports you right now, or to your pastor, or to God, whatever you decide. You write a letter saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And then you start listing the reasons that you have to be thankful. And in these reasons, you're going to put your desires, what your desired person has. Thank you. Now that I am in my perfect relationship with the perfect partner for me, thank you that now I have the house of my dreams, and it was better than I could have imagined. And then you can start describing it, because you want to build up that emotion behind it, that feeling of already having it. And if you already have it, you kind of know what it looks like. You kind of know what it feels like. You know what it smells like. And so you're going to write those things out. And I would do maybe 4, 5, 6 at the most. You can even incorporate it into where it's just one big thing, because this end person for you has all of those things, right? I like to do separate paragraphs. That way, I know where my focus is at that point. But I do build everything kind of in together. So once you do this, you are going to reread it to yourself before you go to bed at night and when you wake up in the morning. Even if you don't do that, that's fine. Your subconscious mind has already been imprinted with this letter. You wrote it down. And when you write things down, your brain has to connect that, okay? So another way to do that is by writing the same thing over and over again. I did that where I just wrote the same thing over and over again. All my debts are paid, and I have more money in my bank account than ever before. And within just a few weeks and then a couple of months, everything changed. And that was my reality. From not having enough to having way more than enough, right? So now my goals have changed, and I'm writing down other things. And you're going to continue to change your self-concept by putting the focus in those scripting letters, in those concept letters, making you the focus, not other people. Making you the focus. of the conversation, because you're the one that's changing. And when you change, everything around you is going to change naturally. That's just the way it is. You notice that people right now are showing up, everybody shows up the same way for you. You get in fights with people at work all the time. You get in arguments with everybody. Nobody seems to be supportive of you. Nobody cares for you. Like, why do you think that is? It's because you hold that belief in your mind. That's the belief that you've always been living. You've got to stop that. Everybody loves you. Everybody supports you. You are desirable. You're irreplaceable. You are a gem. You're a jewel. There is nobody like you out there. And you have got to start living like the person who deserves and is worthy of whatever your desired end is. You've got this. That is my reminder for you, that you are the only one to change. You will see these changes come in your life. You will see the new you appear, even if it's a little bit slower than what you wanted. If you start today, you're not going to be where I had to be in isolation. You're going to change your pattern now. You're going to change your beliefs now. You don't have to wait until you have anxiety and desperation. You can change who you are now. Go to Dylan's channel, find your subconscious track, and once you do that, I promise you, your mind is going to learn different patterns of thought. You're going to change. And you have to follow your intuition, do what makes you feel good. And when that happens, everything around you is going to be turning into things that make you feel good, turning into happiness, turning into joy, turning into love. Everything is going to come to you in such a way that you're going to be like, how did this even happen? How am I here now? How am I at this point where all of my dreams are literally coming true? And every time I speak something, it's just boom. Try it. Okay. All right, guys, I love you, and please like and subscribe. I really, really, really want to start doing more here. And if I can get your support, I feel like we can reach a lot of people, teach them things that they don't know about conscious creating, about changing their own life patterns. And you liking and subscribing is going to boost me in the algorithm, so more people will be able to see me. Okay? Love you. Have a great week. Thank you for being here. Take care.